Well, Eddie, here in New York, but the obvious starting point is last weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How would you describe Eubank Benn in one word?
Breathtaking.
Like it?
I mean, just to be honest with you, I haven't really, because we left London and came pretty much straight out here, so I haven't really digested what happened, the magnitude of it, the drama, senior, like the ring walks, being in that ring and having Conor, Nigel, Senior, Junior, like it was just, and the fight, so often on those big occasions, you just don't get the fight that lives up to the hype. And I feel like sometimes, if it's an undisputed championship and you've got like two unified champs going in, sometimes like they've got so much to lose, it's a bit of a chess match, and these two just went to war, literally. I mean, they both deserve so much credit. I mean, obviously, Conor's our guy, so I'm going to laud him up and praise him. I'm so proud of him. But Eubank as well, I mean, just showed so much resilience and toughness, and they both deserve so much credit because they served up a modern day classic.
Like you say, it has been a whirlwind sort of 48 hours or so. Have you managed to watch it back yet?
Not yet, no. Like being honest, I had Conor Benn up after 10 rounds, and then Eubank finished like a train. I mean, he had very heavy rounds in 11 and 12. I think when the final bell went, I thought could be a draw here. If you tell me I have to pick a winner, I think you may edge over to Eubank just because of that finish. But I just thought it was one of those fights. I mean, I didn't, so I don't agree with the scorecard. I just felt like sometimes it's a little bit disappointing when you don't get any crack at the or run of the whatever it's called, whip or something like that. I don't know if that's the thing, yeah, whatever. Crack at a whip, run of the mill. Whatever, I don't know. Over three judges' scorecards, because where I would sit, everyone had it very close. But listen, also good that you get three judges that have similar scorecards. So.
All right, check one.
Let's pause there. After the fight, you put out the Instagram message where you didn't want to speak about the scorecards. Yeah. Very nice picture of the two Benns. Was that because maybe critical, or the fact you just wanted to focus on how good of a fight it was?
Yeah, I wasn't in the, like, I love to win, right? And I love it when our guys and our team win. But honestly, from the moment the decision was read out to even now, I've not been disappointed with losing. And that's so unique for me. Like, normally I throw the toys out the pram, or I was so in awe of what I watched. And I couldn't believe, again, props to Eubank, but I could not believe what Conor Benn did, coming up 2 weight classes, 14 months of inactivity, like the occasion, everything. Like, I was so proud of him. And sometimes, and I think this is what, we've got to teach some fighters in a way, is that when you lose on stages like that, putting in performances like that, your stock only rises. And if you look at Conor Benn's stock, it's gone through the roof in defeat. And the future's massive for him. It really is. And, I know there's been a lot of talk, it's well documented that the contract was a 2-fight contract. And, the rematch is already contracted and done. And I just said in the presser after, look, we'll have to look at the weight classes and that. And Conor Benn just said to me, I think on Sunday night, if you think that was a war, wait till you see the rematch. And we're very confident of what Saturday will give him in terms of the activity, the confidence, the weight, everything. And he's ready to go now. Like I said, he's killing it in the gym, back in the gym.
Is Conor coming out to New York this week?
Yeah, he'll be here tomorrow.
And the indications you've had since Sunday, he's fully locked on the rematch, not the WBC route.
I mean, look, we have to look at really, again, I want Conor to become a world champion. I think he's proved, even moving up to middleweight, that he's a world-class fighter. And he's a huge star now. But the rematch is twice as big as the first one. I mean, the numbers were huge. We've seen it across social media, across the pay-per-view. You're talking about number 2 will break records across the board. And that's what we signed up for. So we're in. And we'll wait for a date from His Excellency. He's already made it clear. I think he said end of September back at Tottenham Hotspur. Whatever. Just let us know the day and we'll be there.
It's an iconic moment in this stadium when the car door opened. Just talk to us about, from your view in the front row, of that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it would be very difficult for Eubank Sr. not to be there on that stage and with that attention and that moment, obviously, for his son. The rumbling came out sort of 24 hours before that he was going to come, and I heard that Turki Al Sheikh was making the play to get him there, and once I heard that, I thought it's very likely that he'll be there. I did expect him to come on the ring walk, which I'm glad he didn't, because I think that would have been mentally a bit tougher for Conor in that moment. But when he opened the door, just to the face, it was iconic. I mean, Eubank is a legend of British boxing. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows the face. I think that would have rocketed the pay-per-view in that moment as well. And it just lent itself to the theatre of the narrative of what we saw unfold, which was just a modern-day classic between two fighting families that have just a relatable history that the whole country knows about across all generations. And I'm so glad that he was there, because it just added to all the drama.
And 2 other fights on Saturday which didn't go our way. Firstly, Liam Smith. What a great performance by Aaron McKenna, first and foremost. Do you think it might be the end of the line for Liam Smith now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Liam Smith's he's a guy who's been a world champion. He's been involved in massive fights at world level, and that's where he wants to be. Aaron McKenna, who we've got options on now moving forward. I think he's a very, very good fighter. It was just felt a little bit like a changing of the guard. Liam was super brave. Again, the inactivities really, this really affects fighters. I haven't spoken to Liam about his future, but I would think if he's honest with himself and feels he can't perform at world level and fringe world level, then he's not going to want to be in the game, and he'll have to have a long think.
Chev Clark lost his British title. How does Chev get back to that level and beyond?
Difficult. It's back-to-back defeats for Chev, and I don't think Chev really did himself justice on Saturday. Not taking anything away from Vidal. The style is difficult. He doesn't like to engage much, and he's quite slick. But Chev, with his pedigree, for me, I want to see him winning fights at that level. And it's difficult. Obviously he lost that fight at kind of European level. Now he lost at the British title level. But Vidal's a good fighter, and Chev will have to regroup. But disappointing, because I expected him to win that fight.
Big card this Saturday in New York, triple header.
Yeah.
How do you see the 3 fights going?
I'm so excited, because obviously Matchroom are promoting the event and running the logistics with Ring Magazine. So we're flat out from a team perspective, but in the ring, you haven't got the normal kind of drama for us and emotion for us. So we can kind of sit there as a fan. And I really like the matchups. Like, for me, I expect Ryan Garcia, who looks really good, fresh face. So good to see Ryan Garcia back healthy, because he's an asset to the sport. Rolly's a good fighter, but I just expect Ryan Garcia to stop him and to do it within, maybe even 4 rounds. I think Haney Ramirez is really interesting. Devin had to go through a lot in that Ryan Garcia fight, physically, definitely emotionally and mentally as well. And a lot depends on what Ramirez has left. He lost to Barboza. I don't think he's the fighter that he once was, but up at 147 or a little bit lighter, maybe that gives him a little bit of extra juice in the tank. I think Devin will be too good for him, but we just don't know how Devin's going to come back. And I think for me, the fight of the night is Teo against Barboza. Barboza's coming off a good win against Jack Catterall. Teo, sometimes a little bit indifferent. You see him rise to the big occasion, and great wins against Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, but sometimes he can just unravel a little bit, and Barboza will be full of confidence, and it's a great opportunity for him. I think that's a really good fight. Great card. When you look at 3 of kind of like the biggest young stars in the sport across the A side, with Ryan, Devin and Teo, it's a big night and another massive Ring Magazine event.
Talk to us about the implications for Jrs and also Shakram Girsov, because there is now a WBA title on the line in the Ryan Garcia fight.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a call with Boots tomorrow in a meeting. I mean, right now, Boots' star has never soared higher. He wants to fight the other champions in the division. His Excellency's made it very clear. He wants Teofimo Lopez to fight Boots Ennis, which is a massive fight. We also are mandated to fight Shakram Girsov, which is something that we can't just duck out of. I mean, that's an obligation. Shakram stepped aside for the Stanionis fight, so it's going to be really interesting. Jaron's made it clear to me he wants to challenge the other champions and try and unify again and become undisputed, but there's some bumps in the road and we've got to navigate them.
Moving elsewhere, Tyson Fury started chirping up. We've seen him back in the gym with his training team. Any discussions with Anthony Joshua?
Honestly, nothing. I mean, I've said all along, I think it's only a matter of time before Tyson Fury comes back, and if he comes back, and maybe when he comes back, hopefully he chooses AJ as that first fight. It's the biggest fight in boxing. Hopefully he would have watched Saturday and just you know, and you saw Usyk Dubois announcement, maybe it just, you know, makes him lick his lips and go, I'm not done yet. And we wait for that call, we dream of that call, but he's the only man that can make it happen.
Quite scary in a way. 8 years ago today was Wembley Stadium with Vladimir Klitschko. I mean, when you look back at that night, the state of play boxing's in now, I mean, AJ's been at the forefront to spearhead British boxing over the last near decade now.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've all done great jobs. I mean, AJ's changed the game, really, with those kind of fights. And I feel like that night was a massive kickstart for the heavyweight division. Tyson Fury's done amazing. He's boxed at Wembley a couple of times. And AJ's boxed all over the world in massive stadiums, Spurs, Wembley, Millennium Stadium. And it's been incredible. And I was talking about that fight earlier today. You know, it's so dramatic. And I feel like those nights paved the way for what we're seeing now. They almost become the norm. Even last Saturday, 65,000 people for, you know, middleweight contest between two guys, not even for the world title. So boxing's in an amazing place. You know, obviously with Ring Magazine, Turk El Sheikh, Riyadh Season, Matchroom, Queensbury, Golden Boy, The Zone, Top Rank, everyone's pushing on. And I feel like boxing's just in a brilliant place right now. Look at this weekend. Got Friday night in Times Square with Ryan Garcia, Devin, Haney and Teofimo Lopez. Saturday we're in Riyadh for Canelo Alvarez defending his, or fighting for the undisputed championship, both on the zone. And Sunday you got Inoue. And that's just 3 nights of boxing. It's incredible what we're seeing. And we want to put the foot firmly down on the pedal and move full throttle into 2025 and keep pushing on.
And there is more announcements very imminent as well. Anything you can sort of tease for the fans?
We got 2 brilliant fight cards in the US to announce this week. Another one in Japan that we'll be announcing, another one in Mexico as well. I'm pushing hard for a big show as well in July, obviously June 21st in Birmingham. McGraw Masood, Yafai Gonzalez, double headers, a brilliant card. And July, planning an interesting little British clash actually that I think will do very, very well. So, like I said, foot firmly on the pedal and looking forward to some big announcements this week.
Well, Eddie, we'll leave it there and we'll pick up back with you later in the week when those announcements have dropped. Thanks for your time.
See you then.